Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. I'm here with Mitch. He's behind the camera, and this is my shop. Welcome. This is video number 11. One of the challenges I've found is to think up a new project every week. I said to Mitch a couple weeks ago, I said, if we ever do the alignment gauge, you know that I'm almost out of ideas. Well, yes and no. I do have a list of projects, but if you do a project, if I do a project, I need either a part to work on or some metal. And of that whole list here, the only project we can do today is the alignment gauge. This is one that I made a long time ago, I think in 1985. And what it does, it checks the down tube and the top tube off the bottom bracket on a bicycle frame. So this has lasted really well. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'd like to make one that's a little fancier and more ergonomic and balanced. Okay, the bottom bracket goes right here. Obviously, it's not balanced. I thought I would make one that has some balance. We'll start right here. We'll go to the lathe. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to put a knurl on there because you have to move this with your fingers. This one's smooth, it works fine, but if I had a little bit of a knurl there, that would be good. So first step is the lathe. There we go, that's a pretty nice knurl. I'll go with that. So I'm gonna switch on the lathe, and the chuck's gonna spin. I'm gonna switch off the lathe into the tap, and then I'll finish it off by hand. Makes a little noise. I'm tapping brass, which is a fairly soft material, so there we go. Nice. This is red Loctite. It's a thread locker. It's good stuff. Don't need a whole lot. Okay, so that's done. What we've done is to refabricate that part there. This one's a little nicer. It's got a knurl on there, and the bronze or the brass makes it look a little different. I think the next thing is to make the pad. That's going to be this pad here. I want it to be a little bit wider, just a little bit wider, because this is 1.5 inches and the bottom brackets are off 1.5 inches. Those are going to be the two holes. Let's go set that up in the mill. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I got the digital readout set up here. And what I'm doing is spacing the holes, because if I drill the stainless steel pad 1.5 inches, and then on the aluminum arm I also drill at 1.5 inches, those holes are going to be perfect. So I don't know if you can see, but those holes are perfectly spaced. They're not even out of thou. I like that. So as I turn it, I'm pressing down so that the tap starts. If you don't put a downward pressure, the tap isn't going to bite. It's good to use your hands. I hope if you're watching these videos, it inspires you to use your hands, make something, fix something, modify something, whatever it is. Just use those hands. I've folded over the cardboard, so when I cut it, see, both sides will be perfectly equal because I've folded it. So we'll go over to the bandsaw now, the vertical bandsaw. We'll cut that out, and then we'll make it smooth on the belt sander. And then this piece is done, and then we'll start working on the actual arm. I'm going to mark out the hole here which is going to be the threaded hole for the adjuster. Going to have the hole there, and then I want this to be rounded and slowly get larger. That's basically what I want. So to make that radius there, I'm going to do that on the rotary table because I don't want to have to file it. I'm going to mark this out, and then I'm going to go to the bandsaw, rough out the profile. Okay, so it goes like so, and this is only 1 inch long. I don't want to have to cut the whole thing, so I'm going to measure. I'm going to go down 1 inch. So that's what we ended up with. We got a nice radius all around. Next we have to drill the hole larger and tap that. Okay, so I've switched it off. I'm holding the lever down still, loosening the chuck. Remember these lines here? I want to take off all this metal from about right there. I want to take all that off, and then I can smooth in that radius there. So we'll take this out. I'll take off the burrs, we'll flip it over, side 2. I need to do this in stages because if I'm going to do 4 segments, I can do 1 segment at a time, because if I hacksaw this off, I can't hold that anymore. And this is at a taper now. And to have that as a taper as well doesn't work, so I have to do segments. So what I'll do is I'll bandsaw up to here, and then I'm gonna hollow out here, make it lighter. So that's basically what I'm looking for. I want to cut out some slots like that. We'll go mark out this one here. I'll hacksaw that off, hold it here, do that slot. Yeah, it's coming along. So we got 2 more. It's getting lighter. I did a little sanding. I've narrowed everything down a little bit to make it a little sleeker. It is lighter. I noticed that I got a balance point right here right now, and I'll put some marks where I want to make some holes. So I think the next step to do is to go to the mill. These two will be the same, and this one's smaller because the end has to chamfer in. So I'm going to open up the tool a bit. You see this? That's how you move the tool over. It's called a single point tool. There's only 1 cutter. So if that's 50 thou, there you go, 100 thou larger hole. So I switch it on, switch it off, and bring it down. Off. Whoa. That worked out pretty good. I got a spiral point tap, so I can just wind it down. I don't have to go back and forth like I would with a machine tap. There you go, we're all the way down. This needs to be fairly tight. happy with that. We're going to go back to the mill now. I'm going to get rid of the thread. I'm going to make a 1/4 inch hole because that's what size the shaft is. So after I drill the hole, I'll ream it, and that shaft should just slide in there. That's it. Okay, so this is how I hold it. So I'm going to round these corners now. I'm going to round them, and I have to do a shape here. I'm not quite sure what I want, but let's see what happens. I don't want to go too far past here because then it's going to make that area there a little thinner. So I need to be careful. See the space here? Right there? I want the same space up here. So that's why the holes were offset a little bit, because I want a rounded, because that's where my hand goes. Okay, I'm going to say that's close enough. Now we'll get the file out. I have my belt sander. I have my gloves on. I was using this one last week, and a belt broke, and it gave me a good whack, so safety third. If I rip the emery cloth in half, then I can get right in here. If I have the full width, it doesn't contour as well. I spent quite a while working on these corners here. That was not a quick process. What the Scotch-Brite does, it kind of makes a uniform surface. So it's kind of a nice finish. I like it. We have countersunk Allen screws here. These tend to hold really well. If you've ever put them in and tried to get them out later, they're hard to get out. So I'm not going to use any Loctite. I like how that ended up. There's just a little tiny little shoulder there just off of the pad. I like that little detail. So I'll take it over to the vise now, take a file, I'll take off the sharp edges around there, and then we just have to make the weight at the back. 954, someone even wrote it on there, and it's a really good bronze. It has a tensile strength equal to chrome moly. I was kind of surprised when I learned that. So I'm going to machine it down a little bit. I want it to be a little bit smaller on the OD, and then I'm going to put on an 8-degree taper. I'm going to drill a hole and ream it, and that's where the shaft is going to go on. Let's go clean that end up. I think that'll work. That's a counterweight. Why don't we start out at 30? I think that's way too long. Okay, well, it's okay to start long. Are you filming this?
I am.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's too heavy. We're going to take off about 1 inch at a time. Okay, so we took off about 1 inch to just a little bit. Not bad, look at that. If we took off another 1/8 of an inch, something like that. Ooh, yes, the red stuff. Okay. And do we need any Loctite? Oh yeah, we need Loctite. Here, I'm going to do something else too. Take a center punch, and I'll put some punch marks there. Because what that does is to flare up the metal in that area, and then it won't go in so easy. This is the moment. Excuse me. The moment of truth. That looks good. That's balanced. Okay, so a frame. We're going to look at a frame. So what we're going to do is just to take off the paint. There, look at all the paint there. Okay, so I try not to take off any extra metal. Do the same thing to this side, and then we'll just see if this frame is straight. So I'm just putting a bit of masking tape here because normally when I'm checking a frame and it's raw, I just put the felt pen right on, but it's probably hard to see felt pen on top of the brown. So how you use an alignment gauge, this really needs to be faced, but this is how you use the tool. So there you go. Got a little bit of a gap, and then I flip it over. Oh, I got more of a gap. So what that tells me is that the frame, I always put a mark on there. The frame has to go that way. Because if you don't put a mark and you pull it, and then you can't remember which way you went. So you always make a mark. Let's check the seat tube and see if that's one way or the other. Okay, this feels, holding this on here, this feels a lot straighter this way. Okay, so I'm very, very close, not quite touching, very close. Ooh, huge gap. So the frame has to come this way, it's got to go, the frame has to go that way. Okay, what's happening here is that each of them has to come the same way, which is better than one tube wanting to go one way and the other tube wanting to go the other way, because when you see how the tubes are joined here a little bit, when you pull this tube this way, it wants to pull this tube that way a little bit as well. So this tube has to pull this way. And this is the actual workbench we use for many, many years. So you see this bar here? There's a reason that bar is right there, because look, you can put a foot there and it's really good, because now I'm pushing against my foot. I get a sense of how much force I'm putting on there. So I put some force on there. So it looks like it's fairly close now. So that's how you align a frame. You have to put force on the tube, and then it moves over. So that's our alignment gauge. I think we're done for the day. Thank you for watching. Hope you like this. See you next week. Stay safe.